I have been sitting on this video topic for a month. I didn't have any time to go out there and insert it into the rotation of other videos, so I was like, okay, we'll put it off, and now it is the holidays. And I was like, you know what, I gotta pre-record some stuff anyway, I'm out on a trip. By the time this video is gonna be uploaded on YouTube, I'm recording this audio on the evening of Thursday, December 21st. It's actually before the Stars game, so some of the numbers, some of the stats that we look at may not be all too accurate compared to where you are in the future watching this video sometime on Sunday maybe. Merry Christmas Eve, by the way. But today, we are talking about the Vancouver Canucks and how Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers might have actually predicted where things could have gone this season. Now, of course, when I say predicted, it's a very loose kind of thing. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm predicting that Elias Pettersson gets X amount of points, I'm predicting Quinn Hughes gets X amount of points and wins the Norris. It's not really anything like that. Leon Draisaitl, though, on an episode of the 32 Thoughts podcast that was recorded back in September of this year, presumably during the NHL's European media tour, had himself a really interesting sentiment that was shared on the Canucks sub 1 month ago by Conate. Take a look at this post made on our Canucks. Leon called it first. Included is a quote from Draisaitl from the 32 Thoughts podcast where he says this: even teams like Vancouver, that if you go look at their roster, they have everything you need essentially to be a successful team, right? So they're going to be good, I think. So even as far back as September 2023, we had people within the NHL, like Leon Draisaitl in particular, thinking about the Vancouver Canucks as a potential powerhouse. Now, of course, this is just a very loose comment. It's not really, substantiated by anything too significant. He's not predicting points or whatever. He's not even saying to what magnitude they're going to be great. He's just saying, yeah, I think they're going to be good. Like, they have everything they need to be successful. And I think if you would have said this opinion back in September 2023, if you were a Canucks fan at least, many other Canucks fans would probably try to step on your brakes a little bit. Say, hey, okay, let's just calm down a little bit. The Vancouver Canucks have historically not really been all too great. They're coming off of a season where a lot of this roster is similar from last year, and they sucked last year. At the start of the year, at least. Like, they had a terrible Bruce Boudreau stint to kick off 22-23. They lost all their games. They blew all their leads. Nothing was consistent. Demko was injured. The defense still sucked. And now, because we're kind of scarred from that, it would be foolish to say that the Vancouver Canucks could have bulldozed their way to the top of the NHL like they have in this season's worth of play. That's the idea I feel Canucks fans would have said back in September if you presented them with an idea saying, yeah, they could have been this good. Sure, the pieces are all in place, and this is kind of why I was a little bit more optimistic heading into the season too. Sure, I had my doubts. Like, I of course had my doubts, like many of y'all in the comment section of these videos. But I did say multiple times throughout the summer, throughout the off-season of this year, that if everything works, it can work very well. Which is kind of a redundant thing to say, but when you think about it, I mean, top-tier forwards in the NHL, the Canucks had that, Pettersson, Miller. You could say Kuzmenko was in that conversation. Maybe not Brock, because Brock last year was definitely not the same Brock as this year. Top-tier defense, hey, Filip Hronek and Quinn Hughes, they could be a great pairing together. Quinn Hughes, of course, is one of the top defensemen in the NHL. Thatcher Demko is an A1 goalie, and he's healthy now, so who knows how good he's going to be. On paper, if you talk about forwards, defense, and goaltending, there are studs at each of these positions that it would be fair to assume that this team, if everything works out, they could be good. We just weren't 100% sold on the middle to bottom six depth of the forwards and the rest of the defense, and Casey DeSmith was the new backup in town. How good was he gonna be? There were a few question marks, for sure, but when you think about it now, oh boy, has the rest of the lineup shown the best that they can provide every single night, pretty much. We made the video the other day talking about Pia Sutar and how that guy was the king of Vancouver. King of the little things, because he is just so good at rounding out that bottom six with solid defensive play and good offensive production, too. This was a great signing. And when you think about Teddy Blueger also coming onto the Canucks as well, this made things even more stacked throughout the rest of the lineup because Blueger, I mean, look, if you play him third line center, that's not bad, but playing him fourth line center, oh yeah, that means there's somebody better than him up in the lineup like Pius, and Blueger being the rounding out defensive-minded presence in the bottom line makes things even better. Defense, you've got Noah Juleson coming in here. He's starting to block shots. He's looking a lot better than he did at the beginning of the year. Tyler Myers playing with Carson Soucy, who was there for a while, but now is still injured, became a lot better. Ian Cole has been a great addition defensively to this team. Thatcher Demko is on top of the world right now. So the Vancouver Canucks being in a position where if you look at the NHL standings, and again, this is all outdated because I'm recording this video in advance, Vancouver, at the time of recording this audio, is second in the NHL in overall points. They are fourth in points percentage, and then if you go over to the other metrics here, goals for, Vancouver is first in the NHL in goals for. They are one of the best teams. They're third in goals against as well. Goal differential, they are first by a long shot. This team has gone out there and decided that they want to win games, and they're doing so at all strengths. Sure, their power play is pretty okay. I don't want to say it's the best, but it's still definitely up there. Their penalty killing has admittedly been pretty whack this season. It's a big improvement from last year, but still not, like, near the top. But even strength goals. Hey, guess what? Vancouver, at the time of recording this audio, is the best NHL team in even strength goals. Columbus happens to be second, which is kind of weird when you consider they only have 11 wins in the 33 games they've played, but yeah. Columbus, eh? Interesting. Vancouver, though, being this good, is something that I think a lot of people thought was possible, but not likely. Like, if you said to me back in September 2023, I would have been like, yeah, it's possible that Tyler Myers rounds himself out defensively. It's possible that Ian Cole helps stabilize that defense core. It's possible that Carson Soucy does the same. It's possible that Pius Suter is all he's made out to be, but it would be very difficult to believe it because with all the other guys that have come and gone in the bottom six of this Vancouver Canucks lineup, oh, Jay Beagle was a Stanley Cup winning clutch factor beast. Antoine Roussel was a guy that Canucks fans are going to love because he plays a feisty game. But these guys came in and they weren't great. Jason Dickinson was an amazing penalty-killing bottom six center in Dallas. You guys are going to love him when it comes to Vancouver. And then he wasn't great. Now he's in Chicago, and he's doing really well. Go figure. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was an anchor of a contract in Vancouver, but now he's in Florida. He looks good again. What happened? It's in Vancouver fans' blood to not buy what the product is that's in front of them. We know that at their best capacity possible, these players can be good. This team can be good. But it wasn't until this season began that we actually started to believe it, because in practice and in theory are both very different things. So it's kind of crazy how Leon Draisaitl, of all people, was the guy who really tossed it out there at the beginning saying, yeah, they have everything they need to be good, so I'm going to think they're going to be good. And then, because Canucks fans are Canucks fans, you do have some comments in the replies of this Reddit thread talking about the Oilers and debating whether or not the Canucks are better. Here's the first one made by Sad Opinion 874. Edmonton does not have a Norris-caliber defenseman, and their decor in general looks weaker than even the Canucks last season, and they certainly don't have a star goalie that can pick up the slack. I'm not entirely sure why a lot of analysts have Edmonton slotted for a Stanley Cup winner this season. I just don't see it. Draisaitl and McDavid can't outscore all their problems 100% of the time. They sure as hell pay Darnell Nurse, though, like a Norris-caliber defenseman, and yeah, that's a lot of money. $9.5 million a year. One of the replies says, oh, nice backhanded compliment by Leon. I mean, he's not wrong, though. One of the biggest problems the Canucks had last year was effort and starting strong. We have that in spades, and we're blanking crap up now. That's not really a weakness you can point to and say, this should be costing you games all the time. On the other hand, the Oilers have glaring weaknesses, but two of the best 3 to 4 players in the NHL right now, and we can see they got those weaknesses exploited like an illegal immigrant on the blueberry fields. Now that is a backhanded compliment at the end, if I've ever seen one. Oh my goodness, taking the shots out on Francesco Aquilini. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks, how they stack up against the Oilers if you wanted to really dive into that conversation, but also what are your thoughts on Leon Draisaitl pretty much predicting the Canucks' success this year. It's not a hard prediction, but despite how loose it is, it's still there, and it's still, I'd say, substantial enough to make note that this was a guy that thought the Canucks could have been good and was going to believe it. So now, we're here. I guess Leon was right. Right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire idea of Draisaitl and the Canucks. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.